What's up, guys? It's Backchat TV, and I'm so happy to see you back again. Thanks for tuning in.
What's going on, guys? It's Backchat TV back with another video. This time, we're going to talk about, briefly, Bud Crawford versus Madrimov. Who really won? Now, this is going to be kind of a controversial video, I think. I'm just going to put it out there. It's probably going to lose me a whole bunch of subscribers, and I don't have that many anyway. Because I think what I'm going to say is maybe in the minority, and if not, you know, it might be a bit harsh, and some people, I know a lot of people don't really like harsh views. They tend to get quite emotional about it. At the end of the day, everyone's got their own opinion. You know, I'm just an individual who enjoys boxing, just like a lot of you, and we've all got our own opinions. But the reason why I thought I would speak about this fight basically is because I think the fight wasn't really that close, like the way a lot of people are saying, a lot of the media, a lot of fans are saying that it was very close. The commentary was, during the fight, we're talking about how the fight was very close. And you know, they were making it out to be this back and forward fight that you couldn't really pick who's winning and stuff like that. And I watched it. The first time I watched the fight, I thought that Crawford had won, but I thought it was kind of close. I thought it was competitive, but I thought Crawford clearly won, but it was still competitive. The second time I watched the fight, I changed my opinion because I watched it a lot closer. And I have to put it out there, I don't think the fight was close at all. But I do understand why a lot of people believe the fight was close. The fight looked as if it was close, but when you look at it properly, it actually wasn't. I'll tell you why I'm going to say that. The reason, there's many reasons. First of all, I think Crawford won the fight by a landslide. Madrimov wasn't in the fight at all, to be honest. Now, I know that's controversial, a bunch of people might switch off, but let me just tell you why. You know, from the opening bell, Crawford came out with a very active jab, and he was throwing a lot of shots. They didn't all land, but he was throwing a lot of shots, and he was very active with his punch output. Madrimov was posturing, he had a kind of a jerky movement, and he did some really amazing things. The commentators were talking about how good Madrimov's movement was. I think he got so many things right in there. He was big, he was strong. I think they both realized that they both had the power to probably knock each other out, which is why they were so cautious. Madrimov felt Crawford's power early. A couple of those jabs that you think were quite innocuous actually, you know, set the tone for Magimov's hesitation, because he felt the power, and he also felt the sharpness of Crawford, so he knew he didn't want to just put himself out there like that. And early on, first, second, third round, they both knew that they were both looking to counter each other because they have the power to turn each other's lights out if someone made a mistake. Now, Crawford was on the back foot because he's a counter puncher. And unless he feels early on that you're much slower and a lot weaker, that's when Crawford kind of goes for the kill and goes forward and tries to get you out of there. But if he knows you have that power and, you know, you actually have the strength to push him on the back foot, then he tends to slip into a different strategy, which was countering instead, because it's safer. Although Crawford takes more chances than someone like Shakur Stevenson or even Floyd Mayweather, he will fight on the back foot if he thinks that you are a threat. So, you know, Crawford went on the back foot, Magimov was pressuring, and that was the thing that was really good about Magimov. He was pressuring, but it was smart pressure. He was moving, he was edging his way in, but not in a straight line. And Crawford, people think Crawford was having a lot of problems with that, and he was, but it looked worse than it was. Crawford was actually waiting and being patient as Madrimov would edge his way in, waiting for Magimov to commit, because he knew from previous fights that Madrimov often lunges in, and he was waiting for Madrimov to lunge in. And sometimes Crawford got that wrong, and that was the time that Madrimov caught him with single shots. And sometimes he got it right, which is when Crawford was able to counter Madrimov. So, that's really what it was. It wasn't that Crawford was being pushed on his back foot and he really couldn't take the pressure and he was getting bullied or anything like that. It was all part of the plan. When Crawford wanted to come forward, he did. And Crawford was outboxing Madrimov. The first round, I gave the first round to Crawford, outboxed Madrimov. Madrimov didn't throw many shots. I gave the second round to Crawford, a lot of the same. Crawford's output was much higher than Madrimov. Madrimov wasn't landing much. Although he looked good, he was pressuring, he was looking as if he was going to throw shots. He was evading a lot of big shots, but he still wasn't throwing anything. There's no point having all this good pressure and all this stuff going on, and you're not ending that with shots, Although Crawford is moving around, he should have been throwing shots to the body if he thought that it was difficult to, headhunt. But he wasn't really throwing yet. So he was being very patient. First round, Crawford. Second round, Crawford. Third round, Crawford. It was much of the same. I gave the fourth round to Crawford. I gave the fifth round to Magimov. I think, and this, I believe that the reason why I think what I'm saying is accurate is even when he went back to his corner were telling him, come on, you need to switch it up. You've lost these rounds. Switch it up, change things. He's outboxing you. That's what they were basically saying to him. And that's what I saw. That's what Sean Porter saw. A lot of the commentators were talking about they're enjoying the work of Madrimov. I think what they were talking about was, he wasn't getting hit by big shots. He was being very careful. He was being very patient. He was putting the pressure on Crawford. He was setting the scene for some good stuff, but he just wasn't doing it yet. Fifth round, he started to loosen up. He had to loosen up because he'd lost. It was 4-1 by the fifth round. So he had to do something, and he loosened up, and he did. He started throwing single shots. When he tried to throw more than single shots, Crawford was just too sharp, and he would come back with multiple shots and combinations. And so Madrimov was being extremely careful. He realized he could only land single shots before Crawford would fire off something. And that shot was often the straight right hand for Madrimov, which he had a lot of success with. But other than that, there wasn't much. A few jabs. He was quite accurate because he had to be. If he wasn't accurate, he knew he'd get countered. So Madrimov, when he did throw, he was accurate, but it just wasn't enough. He hardly threw any punches. Like I said, I gave the first, the second, the third, the fourth. I gave the fifth to Madrimov. I gave the sixth to Crawford, seventh. The eighth was kind of a swing round, but I think maybe Madrimov won the eighth round, just landed the harder shots maybe, and he kind of stole that round maybe. But Crawford, another thing that Crawford was doing, was every time Madrimov would land a good, accurate, straight shot, because he never really followed up with combinations, Crawford would always come back just to get that shot back. Crawford was literally trying to get every shot back. If Madrimov landed a few shots on him, Crawford would get that shot back. Always. There was only, a couple of occasions where Crawford wasn't able to get that shot back in the round. Most of the time, if Madrimov had some success, Crawford would get it back. And outside of this, Crawford was just outboxing him clearly. Like I said, the fifth and the eighth round, you could say was Madrimov rounds. Other than that, up to this point, it was all Crawford. Ninth and 10th, I think Madrimov won one of these rounds. I can't remember which one now. The 11th, maybe Madrimov won. Crawford won the 12th. The scorecards being kind of 116 to 112, I think that was totally accurate. 116, 112 was exactly what the fight was. I know Eddie Hearn and a lot of people were talking about this was too wide. This judge got it correct. 115, 113, fair enough. 8-4 at the most, to be honest. I mean, I could have given 9 rounds to Crawford, to be honest, but, you know, 8-4, I would say, was fair. But other than that, you know, you got to realize Crawford was moving, he was throwing more shots, he landed a lot of power shots, a lot of combinations. He stumbled Madrimov in one of the rounds. He ended strong in the 12th round, although Madrimov had a little success in the 12th round as well, but again, Crawford got it back at the end. The 11th round, Madrimov had some success. Again, Crawford got it back with a lot of shots. And I just think he just outboxed him. And it was actually a lot easier now once I watched it back. I know what Crawford was talking about, saying that it wasn't that difficult for him. You know, there were some attributes that Madrimov had that other fighters didn't have that made it a little bit difficult and competitive. But other than that, he completely outboxed him. And that was it, really. If you watch the fight again, you'll see. You know, Crawford, people were expecting Crawford maybe to finish the fight strong and try to get him out of there. But I thought that it was a masterclass by Crawford. I don't know why people are saying it was boring and stuff. You know, I just don't understand it. You can't knock out everyone, especially someone who campaigns at 154 pounds. You know, he was a heavier guy, a strong guy. He came forward, he threw hard shots. Crawford had to be careful in there. As a smaller man, he had to be careful. And I think Crawford actually took a lot of chances compared to someone like Shakur Stevenson, who won't take any chances until he knows he's faster than you and stronger than you, and then he can come forward and start throwing shots. Crawford actually puts himself in harm's way. Mayweather didn't do that. Mayweather was a lot more defensive, only punching when he knew that he wasn't going to get countered. Crawford was very attack-minded, to be honest. Even in this fight, where he had to be extremely careful, he was still throwing combinations when the time was right. He was outboxing him with straight shots, following up with uppercuts, and he just did the better work throughout the whole fight. He was fitter, strong. He didn't get tired. There was a time when Crawford was just landing so many shots, he was just outboxing him. By the time he got to like round 10, you know, he was probably just getting a little bit tired, but that professional kind of athleticism and that stamina that Crawford had really kicked in. He didn't take his foot off the gas. You know, he kept moving. He was never stationary to the point where he could get countered. He had control of this fight. Although Madrimov was coming forward and putting the pressure on, it was actually Crawford who had control of the fight from round 1 to round 12. So I would urge people to go back and watch the fight, and you'll see Crawford controlled the whole fight. Madrimov had his moments where he landed a few single shots. Those single shots he landed were hard shots, which is the reason why Crawford had to be careful. And they were quite clean shots. But like I said, every time Madrimov did that, Crawford got it back. And the rest of the time, Madrimov wasn't punching, and Crawford was. So he was outboxing him. Yes, Madrimov caught a lot of those punches, those jabs on the gloves, but you know, he was just Crawford was a lot more active, and he won the fight pretty easy. So yeah, you know, Crawford won the fight by a complete landslide. It wasn't as competitive as people think. Watch the fight again for all the people who think Madrimov won, including Eddie Hearn. For the people who know what I'm talking about, comment below if you agree. Let me know what you think. Am I talking nonsense? A lot of analysts, which I respect quite a lot, also say the fight was close. I understand why people say that, but I didn't see the fight as close. I saw it as dangerous, not even competitive to be honest, but it was dangerous. And it was dangerous for Crawford because Madrimov looked powerful, strong, fast, athletic. And if Crawford would have overcommitted, which a few times he did, Madrimov could have turned his lights out. And I think Crawford fought the perfect balance between defense, managing the distance. He had great distance control, great footwork. He set a really good pace. Yes, he was on the back foot, so I see that's the reason why most people give Madrimov a lot of points on the scorecard for that pressure. But he didn't do anything with that pressure for the most part. So I'm not going to say no more. Watch the fight back for people who think that Madrimov won the fight or that it was close. The 116, 112 is what I would have gone with, but I would be happy with the 115, 113. Either way, it was a unanimous decision for Crawford. Now, going on to, should Crawford fight Canelo? I think Crawford looked amazing in the fight. There's no reason why he can't fight Canelo. My only issue was with the weight. I feel like Crawford is getting very close to his limit now. Coming up from 135 pounds, 147, 140, 147. He's not a big guy, Crawford. He's not a big guy. He's quite slender, and he is getting into that territory where it's hard for him to put on weight. And this fight really showed it, because in the weighing, Crawford didn't look that much different to on fight night. Madrimov and Crawford looked around the same size in the weighing, but Magimov really rehydrated and put on a lot of size, and Crawford struggled to put on much more than he was in the weigh-in. Now, if he was to fight Canelo at 168 pounds, I think Crawford would struggle to make 168 pounds in the weigh-in, and Canelo would blow up to, you know, a light heavyweight. You know, it would just be ridiculous. Canelo would make 168 pounds in the weigh-in and then come in at 190 pounds or something on fight night and just massively outweigh Crawford. And that may have no bearing on the actual fight, but you know, anytime you have someone being outweighed by quite a considerable margin, there is a considerable advantage. That's the only thing I would say about Crawford. He's definitely getting to his limit. He can beat a lot of guys at 154, but I think, you know, 168 is quite a stretch. It's going to be difficult, and I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo won a fight at that weight against Crawford. But at the same time, I think skills do pay the bills, and I think Magimov has some intangibles that that Canelo doesn't have, funny enough, but also goes the other way as well. So it would be very competitive. The power is what you'd want to look out for. Canelo has really good head movement, but doesn't cut the ring off so well. I don't know who would win, but Crawford wants to be great. I wouldn't put it past Crawford to win a fight against Canelo. And if he really wants that fight, I would say I would be all for it. I would still edge Crawford just because I think he's that good. But like I said, he is getting to the confines of his natural size. And don't forget, Canelo has gone up to 175 pounds where he's beaten people. So Canelo might be too big. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm on to the next one.
Hey guys, thanks for watching my video, because if you didn't, it might have got really ugly for you. But since you did, I really appreciate that. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Backchat TV Sports. Do it now, I ain't got all day.